Hey guys, Marcel here. I just want to get something off my chest, talk a little bit about this Sony hacking baloney show. Um, First off, I think it's understood that our media is completely controlled by the government. Top media executives get high posts in the government and vice versa. I don't think there's any secret in that. Also, if you recall, the ban concerning the CIA and propaganda projects within its own country was lifted about a year and a half ago. If you're not aware of that, look it up. So now it's completely legal for the CIA to conduct propaganda experiments and projects against its own people, which of course gives the media and the government even more power to kind of play their games. Now, right now, the internet is the only place where you can get any kind of real reporting. And I understand that there's a lot of nonsense on the internet as well. Many of you might think this video is nonsense, but and that's fine. At least it's a free form, which in the media there's nothing free. They control people like cattle and force them around in little circles, send them to phony protests, getting worried about things that kind of keep everyone's mind off the ball. Everyone's watching the television and their movies, and they're just falling asleep, all drugged up. Now, this is the timeline concerning this Sony hacking case. First off, if you recall, about 6 weeks ago, Emperor Obama came out of the blue and stated emphatically that he would not allow the FCC to regulate the internet. Again, if that kind of blew past you, you don't recall it, look it up. Came out of the blue, said he was not going to let the FCC regulate the internet. Now, what does that do? That puts into the minds of the cows, even subconsciously, because it was a very quick statement. There was no follow-up on it. It puts into the minds of the cows that the president is our defender. He's defending our rights. He's defending our freedoms. Freedom of speech, freedom of conscience, freedom of propagation of information on the internet. And he's not going to let anybody regulate it. As if Obama's ever cared about anyone's rights other than his own. Or the Muslims chopping off children's heads of Christians. And he cares about their rights. But he doesn't care about our rights. So he puts us out there, kind of let everyone know that the last thing he would ever want to do is allow his government to regulate the internet. So I want you to keep that in mind, because that's pretty important. Now, the Sony celebrity release of information, the celebrity information released through the Sony hacking. First off, I want to point out that Sony makes like $40 billion a year. They can definitely afford a couple MIT super geniuses to protect their infrastructure. Duh. Of course they can. They can. Okay? And they're talking like, oh, Sony's information infrastructure is from the 80s. Really? Come on. Believe me. They're a huge mega god corporation. They can afford to protect themselves from hacking. So, why would they let that happen, if in fact it happened at all? Because the cows are addicted to their stupid media. They're addicted to television. They're addicted to their video games. They're addicted to movies. That's all they really care about. So, there's a hacking of Sony studios. All the cows, it's like they're kind of meandering up to the milking shed, because they're going to get milked, and they're all sitting outside the milking shed looking at a 80-inch plasma television, all this important information coming out. You know, revelations like Angelina Jolie is insane. Really? That's news? One, it's obvious. Two, everyone knows it. Three, who cares? Well, who should care? No one should care, but everyone does. All the cows care because they feel invested. And it's all nonsense. Obviously, it's nonsense. If you're watching this little snippet, you obviously know it's nonsense. But 300 million people in this country don't know it. So they all meander up to the barn. They're watching their super duper high tech TV, right? The news media, all these titillating news stories. Like, let's see, actors get paid a lot of money to do movies. Wow, I wouldn't have thought that. That's crazy. Or DiCaprio doesn't want to do a movie, and some producer calls him, a naughty name. You know, right? But what does this mean? So they get all the cows fixated on Sony. But there's a hidden message here. The message is, to all the cows, even Sony, huge God corporation, cannot protect themselves from hackers. That's in the back of everyone's mind. Wow. If Sony can't protect themselves from hackers, what am I to do? A poor lowly cow. There's nothing I can do. Now, they're not in a big uproar. That's kind of in the back of their mind. They might think about it while they're watching Mork from Ork reruns or something. But it's sitting there. Sony, this huge corporation that has revenue many times larger than 97% of the countries in the entire world, they are helpless from these hackers who can do whatever they want, whenever they want. So it gets everyone thinking we are defenseless from hacking. And then what happens? So we have that implanted in their mind. We also have Obama's statement that he will do everything he can, essentially, to protect our rights on the internet. Nothing will make him regulate the internet. He's not going to let the FCC do it. He's our man. He's our emperor. He loves us. And then we have the implant that even Sony is not safe. What are the lowly cows to do? Then what happens? We get the 9/11 threats. Like, we're supposed to think that North Korea is going to put bombs under all the seats in movie theaters around the country and blow them up if we watch this comedy. Now, here's something really interesting. Something to think about. If they were going to make a threat that they didn't want this movie shown, and they were going to get this movie stopped by making threats of 9/11 boogeyman terrorist, whatever, why would it have to be connected to the Sony hacking? Why wouldn't they just put out a news release? Right?